Hello everyone, this is Amity Sensei. Today I'll be talking about 5 Procreate tools that will be helpful when making digital art like a professional. Procreate is an app for making digital art. It lets you do everything. Change colors after you're done, change object sizes, and use a bunch of different brushes for any sort of design. What I'm talking about today are these 5 here. How to use layers, a trick for filling colors, how to change shapes after using the move and transform tools, how to adjust your colors, and how to clip masks. This last one is a bit tricky. They're all must-knows, so I'm going to go through them for you today. First, let's start with layers. The layer panel is right here, the second from the right. At the very bottom, we have the background color. Today I'm going to make this black and then draw on top of it. The checkbox button on the right in the layer panel is the display and hide button. If you press the plus button above that, you can add as many blank layers on top as you want. Then if you slide left, this red delete button will pop up. With this, you can delete layers one by one. When you want to select multiple layers at one time, you swipe right on each one. You see how they turn blue? This means you multi-selected them. With this, you can just press the delete button on top and delete 3 layers all at once. We just swipe right on the layer, but if you swipe left, there are more buttons besides delete. We also have copy and lock. For example, if you press copy, it will copy the layer selected and overlay it on top. We've copied this layer with the pink outline here. When you want to copy the same layer, please do it this way. There's also a group function. When you want to combine multiple layers into one, you first multi-select them like before. Then you press the button on the top right label group, which puts them all in one box. This is great for when you have a bunch of layers and it's getting confusing. Just put them all together in a group, and it's really easy to look through them. You can also change the order of the layers. To make this layer 1 the top layer, just press and drag it up to the top. It's pretty easy to change the order like this. And that was just a quick overview of the layer function in Procreate. It's important to get this down now so that you're not struggling with it later. So please remember this. Next up is the fill color function. Specifically, I'm going to show you a quick trick for filling colors. We are going to use a brush to fill. Today we are going to use a brush that I made called Amity Winter Set. This set has a bunch of nice decorative patterns and easy to use brushes. I'll put the link to it in the description down below, so if you're interested, please take a look. You don't really need this specific brush for the tutorial today though, so you can just use a different one if you don't have the Amity Winter Set. First up, we are going to use the pen ink brush from the Winter Set and color in this squash part here. Right now we have the rough draft layer on top, and we'll be coloring in on the second layer. Let's start by coloring the outline of the squash. Usually when we are coloring, we just do it with a brush like this. As for the thickness of the brush, we can change that using the top slider on the left here. I believe most people just set the brush thickness really high and then color in manually like this. But there's a way to do this coloring really quickly. You can throw the color in from the color picker. Just press the color button on the top right and throw it in. And just like this, we can color in really fast. Also, when you throw the color in, if you don't let go and kind of slide your pen left and right, it's like, can you see the little gap here? If I zoom in, you can probably see there's a little black border here. This function is called color spread. When you put the color in, you'll see a blue slider popping up at the top of the screen. If you slide right, the color will spread and the gaps disappear. On the other hand, if you slide left, the color contracts and the gaps get bigger. Try doing this so that the color spread is as high as possible. Let's try with a different one. Throw the color in, adjust the slider without letting it go, and get it so that the color goes right to the edge. We want to first color the base of the vegetables like this, so I'm going to color the edges and then fill them in. I will speed up the video a little bit here. Now that we've got all our colors in, let's move on to the Move and Transform tools. If you master these, drawing becomes much simpler, so please give it a try. First, let's look at our layers. At the top we have the outline layer, and then below we have the color layer. We are going to start by hiding the outline layer on top. After that, once you make sure that you have the color layer selected, we'll move to the top left. At the far right on the top left there is a little arrow icon, and that's the select tool. If you press it and touch the screen, you can move everything around however you want. And if you slide these corner parts in and out, you can make the drawing smaller or bigger. Right now we are moving everything all together, but what do we do when you want to move the vegetables separately? We can use the select tool for this. The select tool is this kind of wavy one here, the second from the right. At the bottom we have 4 tabs. We have automatic turn on right now. This lets you automatically select an object by touching it. I just selected the spoon part here, and now it's all blue. This means that it's selected. After that we change it to the arrow icon at the top. Now we can move just the spoon by itself. It pretty much automatically detects the spoon and selects it. There's also a freehand tab and a rectangle tab at the bottom. The format one lets you select a part by tracing it. With this you can choose 2 or 3 things and then move them at the same time with the arrow tool. The rectangle tab lets you select something using rectangle or square that pops up. I've got the lemon selected now. Then there is this ellipse tab, which lets you trace out a brown area and select it. One more thing, if you select something using freehand and use the feature at the bottom, like rotate, flip, or 45 degrees, it's pretty funny. On the far left here is a feature called Snap, which is actually brand new. Right now we have Snap on. What is Snap? Well, when you move something, it will stop right at the center line here. You can see the yellow lines going across the screen, and these are the center lines, and the object stops there. You also stop at the edges like this. So when you want to line things up just right in the middle or somewhere else, just switch on Snap and it's easy. Also above Snap there is a button labeled Magnet. With this, instead of the center lines, the object will snap to lines coming straight from its current position. Those are these blue lines here. Can you see them? It moves right along those straight lines. You can also change the angle by moving a little, 15 degrees, 45 degrees, 90 degrees. It adjusts it automatically so you can position it just right. If you want to line things up on a vertical line, this is perfect for that. When you're rotating, you also snap between the different angles slowly as it rotates. With the magnet off, it rotates smoothly, but with the magnet on, you snap between the different angles like this. When you want to change the shape of an object, you first select it using the freehand tool. You can see that we have the uniform tab selected at the bottom here. With this selected, if you change the size of the object, it will always maintain the same length-width ratio. But with the freeform tool selected, you can change the size however you like without maintaining that ratio. Distortion, on the other hand, distorts the perspective. You can grab a corner and mess with the shape a little bit. Finally, here we have warp, which is pretty useful. If you press and hold it with your Apple Pencil, the object kind of distorts. Only the parts you touch can be changed, so I use it a lot to do touch-ups after I'm finished. Let's move on to the next one. I want to talk about a few ways to change colors after you're finished. The main way to do it is by choosing the layer with the color you want to change, going to the adjustment panel at the top, and choosing color, saturation, and brightness at the very top of the menu. Now some sliders will pop up at the bottom here. If you play around with the hue slider on the left, you can change the color of the entire picture. This is how I do it all the time, but this will change all of the colors. How do you change the color for only one part? For this case, we choose the selection tool, make sure that freeform at the bottom is enabled, and trace the part of the picture we want to change. Then we go to color, saturation, and brightness in the adjustment panel again, and just adjust the sliders like this. You can see that the part we selected is changing in color, becoming more purple or pink. Let's change the colors one by one in the same way. So you can use the adjustment panel to change colors, but there's also one other way. You can use the fill color option we talked about earlier to change the colors directly. First, we choose the color we want from the color picker, and then just throw the color in like this. You can see these orange parts are in red. Throwing the new colors in from above using the fill color tool like this is totally fine too, so go with whatever is easiest for you. Lastly, I'll be talking about the clip mask function. It's a bit of a challenge to learn, but it's super useful. I definitely think this is something all beginners should study. Let's take a look at the layer panel. You can see that right now I've got two layers, the rough outline layer and the color layer. Let's add one more layer on top of the color layer. To make it easy to see, let's pick a blue color that's completely different and start coloring over top. Now we press the layer with the blue and choose this option labeled Clip Mask. And then as you can see, the blue only appears on the vegetables, and this is the clip mask. Think of it like a setting that keeps colors from bleeding outside of the layers below. Here's the clip mask on, and here's clip mask off. This makes it really easy to color layers from above without them bleeding out. Using this feature, I want to put a little pattern on the vegetables. Let's bring up the layer panel again. With only two layers, we are going to make a third and put a clip mask on like before. And just select the empty layer and enable clip mask. Now you can see this tiny arrow mark besides the new layer. And this is a symbol for a clip mask. As for the brush we'll use for the pattern, there's a lot of nice texture brushes in the Amity winter set I mentioned before. We've got lots of different options including texture spicy, texture rough, texture light, but today we'll go with texture spicy. So select this sort of darkish red for our brush and color over the vegetables. Can you see this? There's a kind of rough texture on the vegetables now. And because we have clip mask on from before, we can color in these parts without worrying about the colors bleeding. We are going to put this texture effect on all of the different objects. Just pick the color you want and color in the rough texture. If you make sure not to press too hard, it will give the objects this bumpy, earthy feeling to them. So let's go ahead and do them all. Now we are finished with the textures. This is before and after. Just by adding this rough effect, it really feels like we finished. You can also use the clip mask on as many layers as you want. For example, we can add another layer and then press the clip mask like before. Then we have 2 layers for the clip mask enabled. With a new layer, we can use a different brush like Texture Soft or Texture Snow. So put a new texture on top and give our picture some more flair. Let me just add one more new layer and turn on clip mask. So far we've been using a lot of dark colors, so if you go with a lighter, more highlighty color for the new outline, it looks really cute, like it's kind of frizzy. I don't exactly know what to call this effect, but by using this feature to add lots of layers, you can really give your pictures more depth and show your creativity. So it'd be great if you can download the Amity Winter Set and put these brushes to work. And with that, we have the final product. How is it, everyone? I put in some leaves and seeds in the gaps between the other objects, drawing them in a different layer. Our layer layout has the outline layer at the top, and in the middle we have the gap layer. And then at the bottom we have the base illustration with all the vegetables. First we drew the base, put a number of clip mask layers on top, and added the textures there. Some of you might find it difficult, but just by drawing some simple shapes like vegetables, animals, and people, and then putting some texture in using clip mask, you can really give your illustrations some depth and quality. Also, making some icons might be a good way to start. So please give it a try. About the brushes we used today, the link to the Amity Winter Set is in the description below, so please check it out. Alright, this is the end for this video. If you find it helpful, please hit the like button down below. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, I make videos on tips and hacks of iPad, so please do that too. I hope to see you in my next video. Bye bye!